Hello, my name's Amy, and this is a writing update and a quick chat about why I'm probably not doing NaNoWriMo this year. So I have been meaning to make a writing vlog for like the last 2 weeks. It's a while since I uploaded anything. Life is really quite stressful at the moment though. Our big news at the moment is that we are getting ready to sell our house. And because we run a B&B, that also means selling our business and completely changing everything we do. So that has been really stressful and really time consuming. And it's meant that I haven't really had the energy to film anything. But I have been writing, even on days when I probably should have given myself a break. So I wanted to give you a bit of an update about that. So in my last video, I was talking about my goals for autumn and winter. I've already made some changes. To be honest, that doesn't surprise me at all. I am still working on the edits of Cybernation, my adult cyberpunk book, which I have been talking about in multiple videos over the last few months. As a quick update for that, I am currently in the middle of chapter 6, and there are 29 chapters. So I won't say the editing process is going badly, but it is really slow. Because I like to edit on my PC with my 2 monitors, this means sitting at my desk, and that's something I can't do when our baby is awake. And to be honest, I haven't even had time during her naps over the last few weeks. So I'm working on that every night after she goes to bed, and to be honest, I can really only manage about half an hour a night. I am trying not to beat myself up over that. Yes, I would really like to work faster on this edit. To be honest, I really wanted the entire book done by now. I think my very earliest goal was to have it published by something like July. So clearly I have flown past that deadline. I do like the book though. I like the way it's going. I'm not getting particularly frustrated or burnt out with the edits, which is something that happens to me a lot when I'm deep in the editing process. So progress is not where I'd like it to be, but I can't really complain. I am going to get there in the end. But Cybernation is not the only thing I am writing. Now this is something I discovered in the spring when I was editing Lady of Swords. When I am editing, I really do like to have something else to work on in the background. I find editing very time consuming, stressful, kind of like selling a house in that regard. But it takes up a lot of mental energy and it's not something I really relish doing. But I do love drafting. So when I'm in the middle of an editing project, I really do like to spend even just 15 minutes a day drafting something completely different. And that's what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. I have dug out an urban fantasy of all things. This is not a genre I've spent a lot of time working in, but I've got one particular setting and one particular set of characters that I've returned to several times over the past 4 or 5 years. I've repeatedly struggled to get a draft out of this setting that I really like, so I am trying again. I think perhaps every time I've tried to write in this setting before, I have just thrown too much into the book. Too many characters, too many mythological aspects, and too much plot in what are generally quite short books, or what I'm hoping will be short books. This time I've completely started from scratch. I've simplified things a lot. I'm keeping the story in first person POV, which I think is really working. And overall, it's going much more smoothly. I also think the book I'm working on right now will be a much better introduction to the world for readers. So this book has no title. I've got about 10,000 words of it so far. I'm just writing a little bit a day. If I don't get to it in a day, it's really no issue at all. This is just a fun side project and something to work on when I've got a few spare minutes. I think the most interesting thing about this project is that I have a full outline for it. Now, I have repeatedly tried to write full outlines for books, and to be honest, I always get bored before I get to the end. I just want to dive into the story. This time though, because this urban fantasy is not my main writing project, I've managed to make myself take a couple of weeks to just write an outline. I've got at least some notes for every single chapter in the book, and it's a really interesting experience. It definitely speeds up the writing process. And whilst I thought it might make the writing of the first draft much less interesting, I'm really not finding that at all. The outline is not exhaustive perhaps compared to some outlines, but it's enough to give me a really clear idea of where the story is going. And the crucial thing for me, which is something I often forget to really work out in advance, is that it's given me an opportunity to develop every single character backstory and motivation, which is making a huge difference to how easy this book is to write. So this is in the very early stages so far. I am enjoying it, but there's really no rush. I will just see how it goes. But as I am currently working on 2 books, the urban fantasy and Cybernation, this is where we get to NaNoWriMo. Now, every single year I do something a bit like this. I say, oh, I'm probably not going to have time for NaNoWriMo this year because I'm working on something else. And then it gets closer and closer to November and I end up pushing everything else aside and diving into a new book. I am really determined not to do that this time. I have just got too much else to do. Cybernation is by far my biggest priority right now and it is not going to be finished by November. There is absolutely no way. So I have to give that story the time it deserves, and that means no massive drafting project in November. In some ways, I am feeling a little bit relieved about that in a weird kind of way. I feel like it's got to the point recently where it's almost expected for writers to take part in NaNoWriMo, and the Camp Nanos to a lesser extent. And I also feel like this is developing a really weird approach to writing and scheduling writing in the writing community. I am seeing a lot of people who put off writing their books so that they can write them in November or in the Camp Nano months. Now, if you just want to do this as a hobby, fine. The community aspect of Nano is great fun and I can see why everyone wants to be a part of it. But I'm not sure this is the way to develop a sustainable writing practice, and certainly not a career. The funny thing is, I think NaNoWriMo was originally developed as a way to help people learn to write every single day. But that's just not what I'm seeing at the moment. Instead, I am seeing a lot of people online rushing to finish projects so they can start something new for NaNoWriMo, or shelving things completely so they can start something new. Or alternatively, and I think this is the most dangerous one of all, they are just not writing at any other time of year. So there's a bit of a boom and bust thing going on around NaNoWriMo, I find, and that's not really something I want in my own writing process. I've said before that 50,000 words is a real stretch for me in a month, and I can do it, but then I'm always completely burnt out the month after. And I don't want to have months where I'm burnt out. I've always said I like writing slowly and steadily, and that is something I'm sticking to. I would much prefer to write 20 or 30,000 words every single month, rather than do 50 in one month and then nothing the next. For me, that is far more sustainable and just more sensible. So I don't think I will be doing NaNoWriMo this year. I have just got too much else on my plate and it doesn't fit in with my current writing commitments. So honestly, I'm not sure what the next few months hold for me. I'm hoping to keep writing and I really would like Cybernation finished before Christmas, preferably. That has been my goal for a while. But a lot of things in my life are up in the air right now. There's a chance the house will sell really quickly and we'll have to move out quickly. More likely, it will take a while and we'll still be here in a good few months. The trickiest thing for me right now is managing all that stress and all the things associated with moving while also trying to meet some pretty big writing goals. As I talked about in my last video, once Cybernation is done, I really want to move on to some space opera books, and nothing has really changed there. Yes, I'm drafting this urban fantasy, but that's just staying in the background as a fun kind of side project. All the sci-fi that I've talked about previously is still my main focus. How much will change and how much will I get done over the next 3 or 4 months? Honestly, I have no idea at this point. But I am going to just keep plugging away and see where I end up because there's not a lot else I can do. So please tell me down in the comments what you're working on right now. I would particularly love to hear from you if you are also not taking part in NaNoWriMo. I know it's so easy to get caught up in all the buzz and enthusiasm, but we need to remember that it's not right for everyone. So please tell me if you have your reasons for not taking part as well. Or if you are taking part and you've got a big writing project on the go, tell me about that too. I'd love to know what you're working on. So that's it for my update. I'm hoping to get back to vlogging very soon, hoping that life is going to calm down a bit over the next few weeks. In the meantime, I will keep writing and you should do too. So I will see you next time.